Hello everybody. This is Margaret Wasick and welcome to the Boboleros podcast. This is a podcast primarily about knitting, but also inspiration from the world of fine arts, beauty, fashion, culture, and any other drippings from the brain pan that may occur. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And this is take 2. I released a video yesterday, which was about my fall knits, and I realized today, I realized it when I was editing, that the colors look really strange. And I was hoping that it wouldn't upload that way on YouTube, like that there would be some fairy, some color correction fairy that would somehow work her magic in the process of uploading. However, that did not happen, and as a result, I had to re-record. So for those that already watched, thank you for watching, thank you for your sweet comments, and for those that haven't watched, I'm going to keep that one up just because, you know, those comments are there and I want to respect those. But this is the take, I suppose, to watch because of it's got normal colors, guys. And as knitters, we need to see the full color. So before I tell you a little bit about what I finished, what I am working on with the fall here, and you know, all those goodies, I'd like to just first start with a couple of announcements. The first being that I am so excited to be a part of Cakepalooza again this year. If you're not familiar, Cakepalooza is a wonderful indie yarn event, and it's held on the Friday of Rhinebeck weekend, which this year is October 18th. And the lovely Cake Wool is hosting again, and it's just a phenomenal event. And I am so excited to be there with my friends and fellow yarn artists. They're incredible. And yeah, the tickets, I don't know if they're still available, but if you check on cakewool.com, you can have a look. Alyssa from Cake Wool is just the most delightful human being on the planet, and it's always just such a nice time. Hoping for good weather this year, but even the rain did not dampen all the fun last year. So I'll be bringing the Boboleros new collection, which I've been working on most of the summer, and I can't wait to reveal that to you. And the big reveal will be coming next weekend. So I'll be posting about it on Instagram, on the Boboleros page, and also next weekend have another podcast where I take you into my hidden lair where I have all the colors, and I think you're going to love them. The inspiration this year, because I always have an inspiration point, the inspiration this year comes from the world of music, actually, and my project of learning the 24 Chopin preludes. Colors and classical music, what do they have in common? Well, historically, a lot, and so we'll talk about that very briefly later on in the podcast. But I wanted to mention those two things and also let you know that next weekend with the launch of the new collection, I of course will be doing a giveaway and can't wait to share the details of that with you. So before we get started, I'd love to ask, with the fall here and sweater weather, as they say here in the Northeast, I am so curious what is on your needles. Could you leave it in the comments below and say hello? I love this community. I love meeting new people and seeing what you guys are knitting, because I get so many ideas from you all. And so I'm just so thrilled that it's fall again. Although the summer was very nice. So just to quickly bring you up to date before I show you what I've been knitting is a total caveat, because I have been out of the running, so to speak, of knitting for a few months. I did something ridiculous in March where I injured myself knitting, and I had to lay off. What I did was just ridiculous, where I was pushing and pulling too hard because I decided on using the wrong size needles for, the yarn that did not fit that. I thought I could make magic happen with too thick of a yarn married with too thin of a needle. And instead, it was one of those situations where you're just like pushing and pulling and tugging, and it's like you're trying to create the impossible. And as a result, I injured myself. And it's like, I think they call it knitter's elbow, but it's more akin to tennis elbow, which, guys, it sticks around. It doesn't go away so fast. I was like, what is this? So anyway, I had to lay off of knitting and find new things to do. And, slid down some major rabbit holes of fun and creativity. And hey, it's all part of the joys of being alive and creating. I mean, it's just so wonderful to know that we could, just pick up some wool, some 2 sticks, and create. It's so simple, but so magical at the same time. So to get started, because I haven't podcasted in a while, I just like to set the mood for today, and also a good intention / blessing, if you will, over you all with music, because music is just the universal language that knows us, that reads us, that sees into our soul and expresses what we can't possibly express in words. So if I had to choose one word to express this piece, which is one of Chopin's preludes, in fact, it's the first, in the sunny key of C major, then the word for that piece is restless, enthusiastic anticipation. Some great poetic pianists of the past have referred to it as the anticipation of a great reunion. So that's what it feels like to me, is a great reunion with you all, and I feel so grateful for that. So with that said, I'd like to play for you the first prelude in C major by Frédéric Chopin. These pieces are miniatures, and I think that's the theme for the knitting that I've done in the past few months, is they haven't been epic, big sweater projects. They've actually just been accessories, but I've been really enjoying the process of making a few accessories. Now that I kind of got those wins under my belt, I'm on to bigger things like sweaters and cardies. But, like after knitting for a while, not knitting for a while, it was sort of hard to get back on the horse because I sort of got out of the flow of it. And again, I just repositioned myself doing other things. And so I was like, oh, well, there's no time now to knit. But the right inspiration came around in August when this shrug pattern was released, and this is from Jackie Rose and her Shrug Season collection. I've been a huge fan of the Shrugs ever since Jackie published the first one already over a year and a half ago, I think. And I especially loved the bulkier weight ones. And when I first started Boboleros yarn dyeing, I went crazy sort of making color combinations using a bulkier weight yarn held together with a brushed mohair in DK. And those were a lot of fun, and I still make those. So to make this one was a bit of a departure for me because it was using 2 strands of fingering weight yarn held together. And I forgot to bring those samples. Hold on a second. I am back. Well, the yarn I used was my own hand dyed, and this is Boboleros. And this is a new base for me. It's called Bridget Sock. And let me tell you why I chose this. Well, cashmere. It has cashmere, that's why. You know, I love these shrugs, and they're such classic pieces that I really wanted to make sure that the yarn I used would be scrumptious for the long run. So it's MCN high twist sock with 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, and 400 yards per skein. So these were my 2 colors. And again, classic, okay, this is my, this is a classic pairing of cream, sort of an ivory, and a black. And you can see the twist on it. And it's just really scrumptious. And especially held double, it really produced a glorious fabric. So let me try it on here. I've already had a couple of occasions to wear it with this transitional weather. And I'm trying to see which one is the bottom and which one is the top. I think that's the top. With this transitional weather, these are so perfect. Okay. And I love it next to the ebony and ivory keys. Such a nice compliment. Here we go. So the one issue I had with the pattern, you obviously see here, is my, okay, jogless join. Ay, ay, ay. My jogless join was more like jogging and jogging and jogging and jogging and jogging. I don't know what I did wrong, but besides that, I mean, it's just such a wonderful piece. I possibly knit too long because it really did end up being, you know, down to here. But I actually do like the option of wearing it almost like a capelet, because it's got that stretch. And so you could, you know, put it over a casual outfit, or I think something dressy, and make such a statement. Also, you know, how cozy is that, you know, to have just the extra warmth around your arms, I think is just so wonderful. So yeah, like truly a classic. This jogless join though bothers me terribly. And I don't know what I did wrong, because I watched videos about it and I tried to do it accordingly. And I don't know why. I had to, like, it was much worse than this. I had to go in and try to sort of duplicate stitch it, like with a needle, and cover it a bit. You know, if you put that part like in a spot where you're not going to see it, and now that I look for it, I can't find it, but it's only when I was putting it on that, and it was in the front, that it felt very obvious to me. But again, if you guys have any suggestions of why, of how this happened, I think what happened actually was, okay, because the instructions say that when you get to the join, that you have to pick up the stitch from below and slip it on. And I think when that happened, I kind of got out of pattern because, yeah, it was staggered, and I don't know. That's the only thing I could think of. I don't know what else could have been the reason. But in any case, let me tell you why this was just like a perfect return to knitting project as well. Is because it had its own built-in pacing. I love projects that it kind of compels you to keep going, because once you start, you know, like I would give myself a certain quota, like, okay, you have to do, I think it was like, was it like 20 rows or something before the next color change and the stripes. And then, you know, you kind of breeze through the stripes because there's so much going on and changing colors, and yeah. And then it's another kind of like marathon, a slower pace, and then you're sprinting through this. So in total, it took me a week, but it was very doable, and it was very satisfying to see all these stitches come together. The cast on I used was the suggested tubular cast on, which I've done it already a few times. And it's not my favorite process, although I really appreciate the result. One of the things that gets me stuck is, not stuck, but I get always confused, is how many times do I have to like keep going back and forth with the knit the knits and slip the purls before I get into pattern. Is it like 4 times? Or something? I always get that part wrong. And then joining it, I never could quite do it the way the instructions say. I'm always like at a wrong stitch count. I don't really know why that happens. Each and every time it happens too. So it's obviously I'm doing the same mistake over and over. I actually did screw up the cast on, as you could see it here. Is because it flares out too much. And I remember exactly when that happened. And you know what I did? Don't do this. Don't do what I did. I felt so secure after the initial 2 rows of the cast on that I said, I'm gonna pull out my provisional yarn. Bad move, because like it was like taking a cake out of the oven before it's fully baked. I think those stitches, they were so embryonic still that they couldn't handle having the provisional yarn pulled from under them, and some of them collapsed, and I had to like go in and I had to try to salvage some of these, and as a result, it's sort of wavy and not the intended effect. But here's what I love about knitting, is that in a way, it's so forgiving. Like nobody else would know that except you, the knitter. So I didn't weave in all my ends. I see that too. But again, it's all things like details that you know, like the jogless join detail, you know, that's more obvious. The provisional, well, I learned a lesson. Wait before taking out your waste yarn. So that was a very, very lovely project. The next project after that, so I had this delicious, well, let me start before I talk about the yarn. I had seen a scene. I was watching like something on Instagram, and I subscribe to a lot of these like snippets from old movies kind of accounts, old Hollywood accounts, and suddenly this one snippet from a movie that Doris Day was in came up, and I was like, oh my gosh, stop everything. What is she wearing? And it was just the top of a coat, but the color of that coat was jaw-dropping. It was a green that was unreal. And I said, I must, right now, dye some yarn in that color to cast something on with it. And so I went into, production mode and came up with a dark green boucle yarn, which I thought I brought with me, but I guess I didn't. And I thought, okay, I'm going to start in on a sweater in that yarn. However, I'm still not done with the sweater that I had been doing earlier this year using Lamb & Kid's Big Birdie in the colorway Jolly Green. And that's so close to being done, guys. I just, I should have it really finished, because that would be such a win. And so wearable and perfect for now. So yeah, on my to-do list. So I figured, 2 green sweaters, I don't really need that right now, but I really wanted the pop. So I just knit a Sophie scarf out of it. So here it is, and it's just so yummy. I love a good green because it pops everything. I have been into styling videos recently because I just enjoy the process of putting things together. And so I'm posting more of my styling photos and videos. And so I am posting one. I just took a bunch, and one of them I paired this with a beige trench coat, like the classic Burberry style trench coat. And I was like, oh my gosh, like camel and green. Oh, what a great combo. But it's like that pop that just is so delightful. It's so delightful. And this boucle, this is my own boucle DK yarn. I'm going to have all these colors, by the way, available in the shop with the launch of the collection next week. So to get updates, just subscribe to the Boboleros newsletter and you'll be the first to know. And subscribers also get open door access to the launch of the new collection before it goes public. So just some little bonuses. And also, I'm always I'm into giving little coupon codes and stuff like that. So anyway, isn't this fun? Isn't it just fun? I also have a little blazer, some blazer ideas, and I'll be posting some of those too, like putting a little scarf like this to zhuzh up an outfit with a blazer, because now with the fall, it's just, the blazer is so good, right? Because you could throw a blazer on over jeans and dress it up or down with some accessories. And I think the Sophie is such a great accessory, not to mention it's so practical because it keeps you warm without the bulk, So anyway, I think I knit the larger version because it feels pretty large to me. But in any case, just playing around with different ways to tie it and style it and stuff. So anyway, just a really super fun, fun knit. Okay, so that does it for my completed projects. Again, forgive me for not having more to show you. I hope I make that up to you next week with maybe another finished project and some yarn colors, okay? All right, so works in progress. Let me start with something that I cast on earlier in the summer. I had a lot of this yarn in my stash. I have a stash that I have to find a home for my stash. It's too much now. It's too much. So this is a wonderful color that I had in there that I got in Rhinebeck, I think 3 years ago now. And it was Miss Babs, and this is called Bay Scallop. and it's the Yowza base, and it's DK, 100% superwash merino wool, and it's got over 500 yards, 560 yards on this. No wonder it's called Yowza. That's a lot of wool. Yowza. And so what I kind of went crazy for was in the summer issue of the Lina magazine, there was a really fantastic cardigan and slip over. Like I got really interested in this idea of having a twin set by Paula Pereira called the Casadino cardigan. And if you just give me a minute, let me get the magazine because you guys see the picture. This Lina magazine is just so great. It's this issue, and this is it, the Casadino. And as you can see, it's like so cute. So this is the slip over, the slip over. And there's like such nice little details, like a tiny bit of ruching. So cute. And this is how it looks together. Isn't that really nice? So a couple of my friends are making this because I'm hoping to have samples. They're making it in my yarn. And so it's just going to be super scrumptious, but they got my yarn before, and I started before I even dyed the yarn, so I used what was in my stash just to get an idea of the pattern. Unfortunately, I didn't get as far as I wanted to, but let me show you. I'm almost there. I'm almost done with the slip over, and it is good. It is good. So here it is. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm really close now. Just have, even like to wear it as a vest. I'm like, even like over a denim shirt or something. How fun is that? I am crazy about this detail here. I undo my yarn here. This like little ruching here is everything under the arm. Yeah, the halo on this is gorgeous because I am also holding it with a yarn of mine. Let me show you that one. This is, okay, did I lose? Oh my gosh, I thought I just lost my stitches. This is the yarn that I'm holding with it. Hello, focus. Yeah, this is it. This is my merino mohair, I should say, mohair, and it's lace weight. It just adds that gorgeous halo, and oh yeah, I have a very similar colorway with the DK and the mohair. In case you are interested in making your own. I just think the set is so classic. It's one of the greatest patterns, I think, and I can't wait to see how the samples are done. So one tester of my yarn, not the pattern, is making it in like a baby blue color, and another in a natural cream. And I think these are just forever pieces, and which I want to make more of these days. Because I realized something about myself, which is when I love color work, and I have made a few color work sweaters. However, I don't really wear them, and I don't know why that is. And I've been questioning myself, and I wonder if you also have had similar things. Like, the question is, are you gravitating to sweater patterns that intrigue you, but at the end you end up not really wearing for whatever reason? And what is that reason? So I looked at my color work sweaters, and I thought, I don't wear this one, I don't wear this one, I don't wear this one. Why am I not wearing these? And there were a few things that I realized. So number one, I realized that I was knitting them in either a plain DK or sometimes a fingering, but I don't do fingering sweaters anymore. No. And I am not crazy about like a plain DK sweater anymore or a plain worsted weight sweater. I need to have the halo effect. So there needs to be a little mohair, there needs to be a little strand of alpaca or something with it just to give it that halo, to give it that coziness. I so want to be cozy. So yeah, like to me, just plain old DK feels rough and it doesn't feel comfortable, and it also accentuates the unevenness in my knitting. And I have to confess that I try as I might, and as conscientious as I am with keeping gauge and keeping my tension, I should say, not gauge, but tension, I'm still falling short of having the even stitches that I see some of my knitter friends have, and I'm so like, how do you do that? How do you do that? And it's like, it's almost like perfection. I don't have that. So without the carry along yarn, like the mohair, or something to kind of like give it that like hazy effect, I am almost, it's like being like exposed as a knitter. It's like being naked or something. It's like, oh, here are my uneven stitches. Take a look. This one is like fat and all wobbly, and this one is tight and puckering, and oh. So anyway, I realized that about myself. And I realized that it's the colorwork sweaters that I make those kinds of yarn decisions on. And why should I? Why can't I use more scrumptious, yarn held together to use on those colorwork projects? So I have my eye on a Junko Okamoto pattern. I think it's called the Tanaka, and it's in a bulky weight, and that has been really intriguing me. And I've been kind of like swatching for that and thinking of color combos for that. I don't know exactly yet what I'm going to choose, but I definitely, if I go that route, this time I'm using the mohair so that I get that effect of the halo. And I think that way it'll solve the issue that I'm having of, wanting to make colorwork sweaters but not wearing them. All right, so if you have similar experiences of that, let me know. Am I the only knitter who's been knitting for like decades who can't still keep even tension? Am I the only one? I don't know. Let me show you another goodie. This was a total find. I was looking for a cable needle or something, and I was going through my, closet looking, where's that cable needle? And I have a lot of UFOs in that closet. So if you don't know, UFO means unfinished object. Tons of bags with UFOs. Don't even get me started. And I saw this cute little basket bag, and I was like, oh, I remember that cute basket bag. What's in it? And then I looked inside, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a whole wonderland of a sweater that is half done, and why haven't I finished it? This is the other thing, and so I am rediscovering my UFOs and committing to finishing them before starting anything new. Look at this. Is not this just wonderful? So this is a little cardie. It's got some cables. It is made out of my Vivian brushed mohair, and ay. Let's bring her closer. let me show you a couple of things about this sweater. So, okay. So knit on, I believe this is a size 8 needle and a DK weight brushed mohair. This is a gorgeous color. It's like marigolds now are everywhere. And this is a marigold color. It's just such a stunning, like curry type of orange. This folded neck is one of the really nice features about it. So, yeah, and it just gives you that little bit of like funnel neck that is so nice. And then there is a cable motif, and it is going on for a bit, and then the rest is, I'm just going to continue as established, probably for a few more inches, and then go do a rib and be done with the body, and then put on some sleeves, button band, and voila, instant sweater. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this. This is a pattern that I kind of came up with, sort of. The story was that I was in Bloomingdale's. This is going back now, like a couple years or something. I was in Bloomingdale's getting whatever, mascara. That was my intent. And I don't know why they put the bathroom on the second floor where all the like really, wonderful designer clothes are, and like it's such a temptation, and I don't need to like entertain thoughts of being even more fiscally irresponsible. But there I go, just naively thinking I could make it to the ladies' room without being distracted. And then of course I see in this one area where they had this designer Ganni, Ganni, I saw this wonderful mohair sweater in this kind of orangey red, and it just blew my mind. I just thought, ugh, this is like the ultimate little sweater to throw on. I tried it on. I was like, oh, this is great. And then I saw the price tag, and I was like, $400? No, I couldn't make that. So there I went, trying to figure out how to make this. Again, since it's been such a long time, I didn't keep great notes. Unfortunately, I remember how to start it off with the neckline, and I also remembered that I was kind of riffing off of a pattern called the Novice Cardigan by Petite Knit. That was like the basis of my numbers. And then I did this kooky cable to try to imitate what I saw in the Ganni sweater. This is not like a typical, I don't even know how I did this, but I remember it was very uncomfortable because to make this on a cable needle, I had to like make fat number of stitches, like a long row before, doing the, like putting the stitch over. So sometimes it would span across 16 inches, and then you have to slip that stitch over. And I remember being like, this is so uncomfortable and ridiculous, but somehow it created this nice motif. So it was, and the back is really cool. So anyway, I said, I don't even remember what I did anymore, so I'm just gonna leave that, and just keep going down. That's fine with me. I'm happy just to have these long rows that kind of, I don't know, I like that feature. So sort of a happy accident, I guess. I hope I could get the button band nicely done because I don't have too much experience with button bands. So anyway, to be continued. I'm really excited to have this one, and even more excited that it was already half done because I needed a cardigan and I was already looking for ones to cast on, and even though I should finish the Ingrid cardigan, which Maya, my daughter, is almost done with. Like literally, she's on the tail end and she had to reorder more yarn for it. But gosh, she tried it on the other day. I think I'm going to have to like borrow it to show you on the next podcast. It is a dreamboat. It is the most phenomenal, like bomber jacket style. Oh, it's great. It is just great. So anyway, I will not be writing this pattern simply because I don't know what I did exactly. It's too long ago. But I will be finishing it, and I will have the yarn for you, and maybe you could find something similar. There's so many gorgeous patterns on Ravelry. At the time, I couldn't find anything like quite like that Ghani, but since that time, maybe there's more that have popped up. So that does it for the knitting content. Yeah, just super excited about all these things. And in the summertime, one of the interests that I rediscovered was jewelry making, which I started making jewelry back in the 1990s. Living in the city, I had some really cool artistic friends, and they always were doing cool creative things. And I remember my friend Robin, who makes crowns. She is amazing. She made me, for my wedding, she made me a Swarovski crystal crown, and it was so lovely. And so I'm like a kind of person that if I see something and I really love it and another person inspires me, like I just jump into the pool and like I gotta like check this out. I've got to do this. So yeah, so she got me started with the world of Swarovski crystals and jewelry making, and then of course, like the Ghani sweater, back then I stumbled into Saks Fifth Avenue and I saw a beautiful beaded bracelet, and it was like a mosaic. It was so gorgeous, and I couldn't afford it. And like one of the things of being the daughter of immigrant parents from Poland, my dad would always figure out how to do everything. So we hardly ever needed to have repairmen come over because my father would figure out how to repair things. Auto mechanics, my father would figure out how to fix cars. Like my father was just very good at figuring things out. And it was out of necessity because we didn't really have all the financial means growing up. And I'm so grateful for those values instilled in me because there was an element of like, okay, well, you can't buy it, so figure it out. Like maybe there's another way to do it. So anyway, that is kind of like served me a lot in my life, getting me into all these rabbit holes. It's like a mixed blessing because it's almost like, okay, sometimes I have too many things that I'm doing. So that's the downside. It's like, okay, you know, you're doing this and you're doing this and you're doing this and you figured out that, and you know, so anyway, but it's all joy. In any case, I saw some pictures. I got reignited by the something called Colette necklaces. Colette necklaces are when you have like a glass crystal bead encased, and it was like very in style back in I think like the Edwardian time, not the Victorian, but like afterwards. That was like kind of big then, and now it's been sort of modernized. And so one of the inspirations was Anna Wintour from Vogue, who has been featured wearing these Colette necklaces that she stacks in multicolors, and like she wears them so fabulously, of course, because she's Anna Wintour, but they're not so easy to find. And so when I like, again, I saw a picture of some and I said, I really want that. I can't really afford it right now, so I'll try to make it. There we go again. So this is one of the necklaces, which is such a fun little disco kind of ball situation. I love this one because it's like a combo that goes great with everything. Black and cream, you can't go wrong. And I launched in the summer my first collection of the colettes, and they really sold out very quickly. They're just fun in different colors, and I don't know. So I'm making more, and they will be in the shop as soon as I've got a few together. But like, some gals have written me like, oh my gosh, I get so many compliments when I wear these, or it is like the thing that dresses up any outfit. And I have to say, I agree. They're easy to wear, and they're fun, and they've got that little bit of, like, I don't know, like that je ne sais quoi, like what's that? And it's like sparkles, but it's not too much, it's not overt, and the colors are really great. It's kind of like a colorwork sweater when you pair them. This is one of my favorites, which this was the first that I created, emerald, because green. You just can't go wrong with green. I told the Hedy Lamarr story in my take one version of this episode, where Hedy Lamarr, the great actress from the 1930s, 40s, she said that green is the color that like stops, like makes people drop their forks at a dinner. Like when you make an entrance in green, that's what does it. This one is in Celadon. So just again, like fun to throw over any kind of outfit. So playing around, because that's what we do in La La Land. While, reality is reality, we can play in La La Land. I always say I'm dressing up for my fantasy life. I was just in J. Crew the other day, and I was like looking at these leopard slingbacks, and and this sweet girl was helping me, and she's like, oh yeah, they're gonna go great, like for dinners out and for like traveling, and she was naming all these like fabulous things, and I was like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, you can wear them to all those things. I said, yeah, that's my fantasy life. That's my fantasy life. I need more. I'm such a homebody, really, actually. That's why. Like, I like going out, but at the end, I'm like, oh, there's so much to do at home. Like, there's so much to, like, books to read, jewelry to make, pieces of music to learn. So, I don't know. Like, yeah, you don't need that many clothes. That's why I'm starting this Instagram outfit thing, because I figure if I'm not wearing them out, I'm going to wear my outfits in. There you go. And photograph them because, why not? Why not? It's just fun. Okay. So that was that. Another thing this summer, a rabbit hole that I got into was jam making. And my goodness, jam making is, I realized, very intricate, very fun, but I did it because I was just so dissatisfied with the jams on the market. I don't know if you've noticed. Is it just me? I don't know, but I feel like the quality of jam has really gotten down. I don't know what it is. Is this like a post-COVID thing? But it seems like there's not enough fruit in the jams. It seems like they're really overly sweet. It seems like they're runny. And I was like, what's the story with jam? So when my husband cut out an article from the Wall Street Journal this summer about a guy with a brand of jam called According to Daniel, I think, I'll link it below, where he uses an old world French recipe for how to make jam the old-fashioned way. I was all over that. I was like, yeah, because we were just like hitting peach season, like it was almost done. And that was basically the last train before saying bye-bye to jam making until, next summer. So I said, I got to get on this. So I'll tell you, I was rummaging like farmer stands for peaches, going to Costco for peaches, like wherever I could find a lot of peaches, because it takes a lot of fruit, more than I thought. So, I just spent so many days like cutting fruit. It's not even funny. Peeling, cutting. It takes like for an 8-ounce jar, it takes like a pound of fruit. That's no joke. That's a lot of fruit. But anyway, I burned 2 pans. I almost like killed them completely. Thankfully, barkeeper's friend, thanks to again, my angel Rajiv Surendra. Do you guys know him? His YouTube is like the best ever. And he did a whole thing about barkeeper's friend. And ever since I got that, it's like saved my pans. So I thought this pan was beyond saving, but after the barkeeper's friend, it came back to life. But still, I was kind of nervous about making jam again in that kind of lousy pot. And then, just like discovering fine fibers to knit with, there's a world of fine cookware made especially for jam, which I knew nothing of. And of course it has to be French, of course. And of course it has to be copper, because there's nothing like copper. Remember from Moonstruck when it's like the father of Cher is a plumber and he's trying to like sell this couple that has messed up plumbing. He's trying to sell them on the more expensive copper pipes. He's like, but then there's copper. So, anyway. But then there's copper jam making pots, and they're like another level, and it's like the, ultimate first class version of jam making. And at one point I must have told my sister, and we had this like little exchange, I don't know, for her birthday. She mentioned like, oh, I really want this Parker Thatch bag, the Jane, and I want it in brown suede, but I can't justify it. I just can't do it. And I said, honey, you deserve the Jane bag. Let's go in halvesies on that and get you that bag. Anyway, it was like so exciting, and it really, I don't know, it was just a fun moment, and I was so happy like that she got that bag. And she was so wonderful. She knew that I wanted the copper pot. And so she got me the copper pot. I couldn't believe it when it arrived on my doorstep, this massive box. I thought it was a refrigerator. I was like, what's in this box? It's a pot. It's a pot. It's big. It's big. But, oh my God, the jam. Making jam in there is like a whole nother world. So I made enough jam to maybe last until, I don't know, I think it depends on consumption, and quantities may vary based on consumption. So I want to think in my head that it's going to last until next year, but in reality it's probably not. So, but anyway, I learned a lot. It was a lot of fun. And, for at least, this interim, I could really appreciate like a jam that has the things I want in it. Fruit, chunky, not too sweet, not too thick, but definitely not too thin. So anyway, sometimes you just got to make it yourself. And, last thing, I started another podcast. That's what I did this summer. That was a large project. Let me tell you a little bit about it. It's called Music to Compose You. And for many years, as a classical pianist, I've been also studying the health benefits of classical music, because there's something special about classical music, that it does something to our body, mind, and spirit. I've always been intrigued by that. And then I added the component of frequencies and special sounds that contribute to our well-being. And did you know that there are like specific sounds that we can listen to that do wondrous things for us? So yes, one of the things I will show you, I think I still have it here, hold on. One of the things is a tuning fork, and let me show you that. This tuning fork is a revelation. I discovered this one over 10 years ago, and it's like what's in our medicine cabinet. The running joke in my family, my kids would, when they were like, in their, I don't know, teens, I suppose, there would be any issues like, oh, Mom, I have a headache, or Mom, I have a stomach ache, or Mom, I think I'm getting a fever, or Mom, I think I broke my toe in ballet class. Like, where's the tuning fork? That would be like the number one line of defense, was the tuning fork. It's really, really beautiful and powerful. I have a lot of testimonials about people that have used 528 for all sorts of things, and it's really powerful stuff. If you're interested in that, it's all on Music to Compose You, and I've just gotten into the shop 528 tuning forks. Now, the way I have used this in my life, the way I treated my chronic back pain, I for at least 3-4 years had such horrific back pain that it was debilitating. I couldn't sleep at night. It was always there. Anyway, I heard about this, and ever since I started using the tuning fork, and I only used it like for a few days, and already the pain went down. So this is quite amazing. Let me put it into motion by using this mallet, which it comes with the mallet, the tuning fork, and customized in training videos that I made. So you set it into motion. That's what it sounds like. And that sound has a lot of healing benefits. It's a sound that is the frequency of chlorophyll. The sun has been recorded by NASA as containing this frequency. And even on the tuning fork, says that it has DNA repair. Like, it's really quite staggering what it does. And as a result of using this and seeing the powerful properties it has, I have my piano tuned so that my C, above middle C, is also vibrating at 528. So that's a very special thing to do. It's not common and not easy to do that on a piano. It took a while before that happened. But once it happened, oh my gosh, like it was a big change in the atmosphere right away. Like, I had a dog at that time, Sonia, part collie, part shepherd. She was already getting on in age, but she had a limp due to Lyme's disease and couldn't shake it. And once the piano was retuned with that 528, which is known as the love frequency, everything is love. All you need is love. Yeah, that's right. Started hearing music played on this. I would play the piano. The dog would come lay down next to my feet. And at one point, the dog put his paw on the leg of the piano. And I imagine probably that's because, instinctively, she knew that there was healing energy coming off the piano. And 3 days later, there was no limp. I say these things and people are like, Margaret, you're crazy. Even my parents think I'm crazy. So if you think I'm crazy, that's okay. Even my parents think I'm crazy. But there's more and more evidence that there are special qualities in this sound. Science is backing it, and now more and more people are coming out and saying, you know, there's way more than we realized contained in music, which is ancient wisdom. I just did a podcast about that, and if you go to musictocomposeyou.com, I'll put the Spotify link below, not Spotify, iTunes link below. You could listen and, you know, make your own conclusions about it, but a lot of powerful effects of music. So that does it for today's repeat performance of yesterday's podcast. I feel like it's Groundhog's Day, but this one is quite different than yesterday's. So although it's the same projects, actually there's some additional projects that I didn't mention yesterday. So I was like, well, there was more. I thank you for being here. Thank you so much for your love and for all your comments and this wonderful community. Stay tuned for next week. We'll have a fun giveaway, and I'll share with you the new collection, which is going to be really fun. And yes, and check out all the things down below. I've linked everything, and happy knitting, and let me know what's on your needles for the fall. Okay, thanks for watching.